about that? Who would have thought Alec Bohm would steal the show at the Home Run Derby? We've got to get into all the excitement, the good, the bad, and the awful notes that led to the Home Run Derby, the MLB All Star Game, the draft, and of course, we're going to start our grades for the first half of the season. Coming up here on PHLY Phillies Podcast. It was quite an eventful Monday night around Major League Baseball with the Home Run Derby, the Star Spangled Banner, question mark, and all the excitement as we got a chance to watch the guys kick back, have some fun, all the smiles, all the fun. Welcome to PHLY Phillies Podcast. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We've got our producer today, Bree Savarino, Tyler Zulli, myself, Renee Washington. Excited to recap all that went down Monday night. We're going to talk through that. We'll look ahead to tonight's game, the starters, the history that's being made, as well as begin, since we are in this All-Star break week, our first round of grades for the first half of the season for the Phillies, because we did it in the offseason, and now's a great time to look back, give some grades, some tough grades on how the Phillies started. We'll start today with the bullpen arms. But the first thing we have to, of course, to talk about, and it's not Alec Bohm stealing the show, it's my gosh. Say. And I'm overly dramatizing that because that's not how I would sing it, by the way.
That might have actually been better. That was better right there.
So last night, before the Home Run Derby, four-time Grammy nominee. This makes me wonder a lot of things. I have a lot of questions. Ingrid Andrés sang the national anthem ahead of the Home Run Derby and was awful.
Terrible.
And I literally tweeted out and was thinking, like, think about in sports, all the memorable Star Spangled Banners that we've heard. I think about like a Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston is
1,000% the best. And I always feel like you either want to be Whitney Houston or like not remembered, because you don't want to be Fergie, or in this case, Ingrid. Fergie at the NBA All Star Game a couple years ago is now officially off the hook. Ingrid Andrés.
Oh, she's not off the hook. That stunk
Fergie,
too.
That was, yeah, but this is somebody I saw on Twitter a lot of different comments, and some of the things people were saying were like, it's impressive how many notes Ingrid actually missed. It just kept getting worse, and I thought maybe she, sometimes you're talking or singing as singers, we know you sometimes get a little like hiccup in your voice,
right?
You bounce back. She just never bounced back, and it actually got worse. And I have several questions, Tyler. Several.
My wife and I were sitting watching it, and she immediately turned to me and went, her in-ear has to not be working. Like, you know how like when you're doing a performance, you have that in-ear and like it keeps you on tempo, it keeps you on rhythm, and usually it's either a click track or it says like, it goes chorus, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. So that was her first initial thought, was her in-ear has to not be working. But then my thought after that was, if you're a professional and you're a Grammy-nominated professional, at some point you would go, bleep this,
correct,
take
We've
it out,
seen that,
and just sing and get to a point where you think you're on where you need to be. Because what bothered me most about the whole thing was I feel like she changed keys and pitches about 4 separate times for no particular reason. So here's my thing, Renee. If they're just letting anybody do it, I'm putting my name in the ring to sing the national anthem at the 2025 All-Star Weekend.
Give me a note. Give me a note.
Not going to do that. I'll save it for next year. I don't know where the Home Run Derby is next year, but I'll be there. You'll see me. It'll be great. Or terrible. One of the two. A lot of people saying she was sick too, which she may have been.
No. I'm going to go against everything you just said because, I do agree. If something in her ear was throwing her off, you can get rid of that. But like, is your sound that off? Like that wasn't even close. It wasn't, there was not, and like you said, the keys were all over the place. What it got me thinking was, first of all, who are they just giving out Grammy nominees to? Because I'm in the wrong industry. I need to go become a singer because clearly being a pretty woman that can smile and get maybe auto-tuned. Is this an auto-tune situation? These are all the questions that went through my head. Clearly, Ingrid is not actually singing. She's getting some adjustments. It's auto-tune. Secondly, who is deciding Grammys? Because I need one. Thirdly, who does she know? And I'm not going to take it past that because it led me to some other questions that I'm not going to be disrespectful against women and ask. Who does Ingrid know that she was able to get the opportunity to perform and be so bad?
My new thought is that you're just on the Jumbotron of every sporting event from here on out. Just play the recording of Whitney Houston doing the national anthem, and you will never have a bad national anthem again. Because that is, to this day, the greatest national anthem performance of all time. And I don't think it's particularly close. And so if that's the case, just have Whitney Houston on recording. Like, I'd rather the dude that whistled the national anthem.
I'd rather an instrument, some whistling,
I know
a dog barking.
Metallica did it once. They played it. It was pretty good.
Like, I'd rather a whole, anything. I'll rather nails on a chalkboard. Yep, I said it. That was awful. Then I know Greg is saying, like, she did it on purpose. She's a comedian. It was hilarious. Great prank. I don't know. That's a really bad look. So, yeah, I am treading some dangerous territory here, Purple and John. I'm not going to go too far, but I'm just wondering, who does she know? Who does she know that she even got asked to do that because she's not good?
Wasn't good.
It is an industry. We know this world is all about who you know. Clearly, Ingrid's got some connects, and that's all I'm going to say on that. It was awful, though. How about that? Who would have thought? Just like everyone thought, right? No. So happy to see for the chat, though. Our friends here. Our first one in the chat this morning was Ray. Congrats, Ray Schumacher. Sub Slim Dog Millionaires. Chris Slemmer, K-Red, Greg, Provo and John, everyone that's here. That was awful. But it did get better. It did get much better as the day went on because once we got past, it was like laughable. I know Alec Bohm was laughing. I don't know who could sit there seriously and not laugh.
So, and that's the unfortunate part for, like, we saw it with Alec Bohm. We definitely saw it at the All Star Game where like Steph Curry and all that, and Draymond and all them were like trying so hard. That's the unfortunate part for these guys is like, you have to kind of be professional on that. And listen, we've all had to be professional in our jobs when something was funny or like, you know what I mean? Where like, you know, Jamie makes a lot of stupid, childish jokes on this show, and I have to be the one that goes, "You're an idiot."
Yes.
And I'll tell it to his face too. But like in their regard, they had to almost get to a point where they were sitting there like, "Oh my goodness, don't smile." And that like the way that I'm just like, you have to like death stare at the camera, and it probably looks creepy on my end at this point. But how do you not laugh at that?
So I think what makes it funnier is as an athlete, when they're doing whenever somebody's singing the national anthem, you're typically having like your head bowed and your eyes closed and you're not really paying attention. In that moment, you might be praying, you might be getting emotional, depending on the game, of course. You might be like thinking about what you're going to do today. Like you're not really, like I can personally say you don't really listen to who's singing until you need to.
Okay.
And it's if you're noticing, it's either they're really good or they're really bad. And I think that's also why like it catches athletes off guard, because in that moment you're like locked in, like, great moment, All-Star Game, home run derby, championships, whatever. And it's like, wait, what's happening here? And then it just kept getting worse. And I feel like we all were in the same spot of like, okay, she's gonna fix this. And it just kept literally getting worse. I think so. Not a good.
Luckily, the rest of the night made up for it.
It did, and that's the key part. So let's get into the rest of the night because Ingrid's been dragged enough, and I don't like to drag my fellow women. Happy for her and her 4 nominees as a Grammy nominee. Yep, congrats. So let's look ahead to the other part of the home run derby because it did get much better. I will say Alec Bohm stole the show for a number of reasons. One, getting to the semifinals in itself was fantastic to see. He literally came into yesterday as the lowest of all the contenders in terms of home runs this season. He has had 11 home runs coming into this year. The next closest was Bobby Witt Jr. with 16 home runs, who we saw as a finalist. It just shows you your regular season performance, your stats, doesn't automatically translate to being able to win the home run derby because you had in the finals Teoscar Hernandez and Bobby Witt Jr., who were the bottom half of this group, Alec Bohm in the semifinals as the lowest. And then, you look at Teoscar Hernandez. He did make history, becoming the first Dodgers player to ever win the home run derby. I loved the home run derby. I loved that it was late. I felt like this year they did a really good job of, the whole setup and the interviews and the families that were there. And just you got to see the guys' personality. I know K-Red was saying that in the chat. And I feel like what helped me love even more about the Phillies side is the water jug. The fact that Alec Bohm was the only one smiling.
There's a lot of personality with the Phillies yesterday.
Everybody was so serious, Tyler. And I was like, what's happening here? Alec Bohm was just walking around smiling. All the Phillies are walking around smiling. And everybody else is like locked in serious. Yeah. I get it. $1 million on the line. And I think I'd be pretty serious about $1 million also.
That's the thing. So a lot of these guys have fairly sizable contracts for the most part. I know Teoscar Hernandez, I believe, is on a 1-year deal with the Dodgers, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But like, it's funny, the guy with maybe two of the guys with maybe the most to gain monetarily speaking, seem to be having the most fun. And I know one only lasted 1 round, but like Gunnar Henderson's out there doing Scooby-Doo impressions.
Oh, I love that.
And Alec Bohm's just smiling and bringing about the water jug. Like, and those two guys have not hit their. Now, I know Bohm's a little further along. He's into arbitration, but like neither of those two guys have gotten their contract yet, right? Bobby Witt has gotten his contract extension.
They've been paid already.
Jose Ramirez has been paid. Pete Alonso's been paid. He's going to get paid again this summer. So like from a money standpoint, you would think the guys that would take it the most serious were the guys who maybe were on smaller deals. And the two guys that I thought stood out in terms of just like having fun, and I thought Teoscar Hernandez did too. And he was, he was pretty visible all night because he ended up winning. But Hernandez, Bohm, and Henderson were seemed to have a lot of fun. Adolis Garcia looked miserable. Pete Alonso takes this thing way too freaking seriously. Like, this is a World Series for Pete Alonso.
Oh my gosh.
And the fact that he hit not only was he out in the first round, but hit the second least home runs out of everybody. I think that just brings some joy and smile to Phillies fans. But honestly, for an event that I have kind of lost interest in over the years, whether it be because it was wavering different rules and regulations, or like Renee, when we were kids, the home run derby. Now, granted, there's a caveat to that. The home run derby was filled with the guys that were juicing.
It was a steroid era.
But the home run derby when we were kids was Sosa, McGuire, Bonds, Pujols. Like, they were the power hitting names. Now, you did have Marcell Ozuna, who is, and Gunnar Henderson, who are amongst the league leader in home runs. But like, I look at this list and I see a Bobby Witt, who doesn't, one of my favorite players in the league, not much of a power hitter. Alec Bohm having a sensational season, not much of a power hitter. So you do have Adolis Garcia and Teoscar Hernandez and Ozuna and Henderson, who statistically have been there. Mm-hmm. But I always look back at like the early 2000s, mid 2000s home run derbies, even into like the late 90s. And again, the steroids play a part in that, but it was appointment TV. Yeah. I'm not sure it's been appointment TV for a while. Last night was fun though. I had one issue with rules, but that's it.
Oh boy. Well, let me first stay on the fun side, because I do agree with you. It is interesting. Like, when you look at this year, I know Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and Juan Soto all opted out against participating. Obviously, injuries have plagued some guys that would have been there. You think of like maybe a Ronald Acuna or a Mookie Betts. Like, their involvement with the All Star games as a whole obviously are not going to happen. So this year you are getting some guys, even in Alec Bohm. Like, I feel like this was his chance to put Major League Baseball on notice of who he is and what he's about. And, peeling back the layers of this team a little bit, a young Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr., who you talk a lot about, but I don't know how many people outside of Royals fans and you really pay attention to Bobby Witt Jr. This was a great chance to really put some guys to put themselves out there and be able to showcase who they are as people as well. Like, This is, to me, the All-Star games for any sport are a chance. And again, I know it was mentioned in the chat, you guys are talking about the fun. It's a chance to kind of see these guys in a different light. yes, you're breaking down the game to do some individual skill type of competitions like the home run derby. But you're also getting a chance to see them interacting with their teammates. You got to see Bryce Harper, which phenomenal interview that he gave on International Talk, talking through like the relationships of these guys, how close they are, how they go out to dinner, who picks up the dinner tab. These are the types of times to have those light conversations.
Sure.
We don't care about the season in the same way of like stats and numbers and things and X's and O's. We want to hear about you as people. We want to learn about you as people. And so I thought Alec Teoscar was another one. They did a really good job of like walking that line, because you are obviously competing. You want to win.
Right.
But it's like you said, this is not the World Series. This is not you like going out there Game 7 of the World Series locked in. No, you look like a jackass, to be honest. Like, I was literally watching.
Tell me how you really feel.
I was watching some of the guys like smile. Like, why do you look so miserable, Pete and Adolis? Like, you're out there at the home run derby. It's a beautiful hot night in Texas. You've got robo bartenders and kids out in the outfield catching the ball, and fans with their mitts ready to catch any home runs. Just have fun. So you got your family there. Like, the rules changed, so you don't have brackets. You have just all 8 competing. So like, it just was bizarre to me. And I was like, is somebody holding them hostage? Is there something we don't know? Are they blink twice if you're in trouble? Like, why are you guys so serious? And I thought it would get lighter as the game went on. But for some of them, it was just so serious. So I love the fact, I know Lisa's mentioning in the chat, the Phillies players are so loose and having fun, and that's what makes us all love this team. I think that's also what makes them successful. Like, you as a competitor, especially with how long the season is, have to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes, have some fun sometimes, sprinkle in the light. Otherwise, you're just going to take your job way too seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and Linda brought up, like, Teoscar was pretty animated. He was fun to watch.
He was great.
I think it was
cute.
It was a weird split. It was those 3 guys who looked like they were just out there having fun, and a bunch of dudes who now listen. I'm not gonna. It's not fair to blanket statement it, because I know there are certain athletes who like are just kind of go about their business type of athlete. They're
but it's also, this is a business thing. Like, this is a chance. But think about it on the other side, Tyler, because I love and hate when people say that, because in reality, these are athletes that are marketing themselves, and this is a chance. You on a stage. It's like a PR stint for you to be able to showcase who you are. Who is Adolis Garcia? You're in Texas. You're in your home state. Right. You're in your stadium. This is your chance to show people who you are. Pete Alonso with the Mets, who are on the climb and on the brink of being like one of those wild card teams. There's a chance to show who you are. Like, this is bigger than baseball. This is a chance to connect with fans. You've got all these people tuned in. Kids are there. Your families are there. So we also get to see you as like a father and a husband and like all these little nuances. So yes, I understand the like, I'm business as usual all the time and I'm super stuffy, but you have to, as a professional athlete, be able to shut that or dial that back a little. I won't say shut it fully off. Dial it back a little to be able to honestly appeal to fans.
Well, and it's kind of funny too, because like, think about last year's playoff run for one team specifically. Obviously, when you win a World Series, everything becomes a lot more fun when you win a World Series. But I don't even think about the World Series the way that I think about the ALCS. Adolis Garcia was the spotlight of the ALCS.
Yes.
Why? A, because he was awesome in the series, and rightfully so. He was just, I mean, a man on a mission. But I looked at Adolis Garcia in the ALCS, and the way that man was exuding not just confidence, but like, I love my job and I love what I'm doing. And right now I am on scorched earth type of a role. Like, I watched him in the ALCS in the World Series, and I watched him last night in the home run derby. Felt like 2 very different people. Different.
It's a great point.
I love watching. And granted, it didn't come directly at the behest of the Phillies, but I think if the Phillies had beaten the Diamondbacks in the NLCS last year, I still maintain that I think it would have been really, really difficult for the Phillies to beat Texas, because they were on such a roll. Like, everything had seemed to click for them, and their driving force last year was Adolis Garcia.
Oh yeah, and that's why I do think the way you show your personality has to make sense. I don't think everybody should be out there like laughing and hee-hawing, because that's not practical. That's not realistic. But I think, maybe it's you bring a little swag. Maybe it's like, I love the fact that we had the little interactions. It's the little things. It's the little thing. Maybe you are going to be super serious, but you're going to be like kind of fun, cocky, or giving us a little bit extra, I don't know, showmanship. Like, you got Vladdy out there. Like, I love those interactions. Like, these are the little things that I think just allow people to connect with an athlete as more than just an athlete, as a person, as a friend, as a cool guy. Like, I think a lot of people probably walked away, if you're not a Phillies fan and you watch yesterday and you're like, wow, that Alec Bohm guy is really cool. Or Teoscar Hernandez is, like,
Sure.
we're saying about Teoscar. Teoscar Hernandez is really cool. I was kind of like, wow. I remember us talking about him in the offseason. It was nice to see him in a different light. That's the most I really paid attention to Teoscar outside of, like, us talking about where he would land in the offseason. It's like, oh, wow, this is a good guy. He seems like a good clubhouse guy. It's just another chance to just kind of solidify yourself as who you are and really connect with people in a positive way.
By the way, I believe in transparency. I know we've talked about this before. I was on the absolutely not Teoscar Hernandez train at the beginning of the year because, and the numbers backed up the strikeout rates. Teoscar Hernandez has been sensational this year.
I know. And actually, yesterday I was like, dang, I wish he was a Philly.
They wouldn't have to worry about making a move at the deadline.
I literally was like, I wish Teoscar.
He'd be your everyday left fielder.
That's the response we should have after watching the All Star games and home run derby. Is like, gosh, I wish that guy was on my team.
Well, I wish, and again, I believe in transparency, and I was wrong in that regard. I just statistically speaking, I wish that Teoscar Hernandez was currently a Philly because there was, I guess, an outside chance they could have made the move, but. I think when you pair that plus the fact that he looks like he's just having a ton of fun playing baseball right now, and again, the winning helps that, right? He's on and not to say that the Mariners weren't good, but he's on a winning ball club right now. The Dodgers are supposed to be good; they are good,
yes.
And I think it makes you enjoy your job more for sure.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I know Lisa in the chat is saying the same thing about it. Definitely helps for a guy like Alec to have so many teammates there in person to have fun with your guys, your brothers. And winning does matter as well as like you come into the All-Star break in a good spot with your team. You guys know where else winning matters and where else you can have the support you need of great teammates? Let me tell you about our friends over at Mortgage CS. Over at Mortgage CS, with how difficult today's real estate market is, it's ultra competitive. And as a prospective home buyer, you want to make sure that you're not missing out on opportunities to win the perfect home. You want to hit that home run and find that perfect home that fits you. And with Mortgage CS, they want to make sure that they're in your corner, providing you with all the insights, education, updates that you need so that you can make sure to make the best offer that fits for you and your family. So even if you're already in the market, you can still explore other options with Mortgage CS. They've got home financing. They've got other ways to really help make sure that you're maximizing financially your mortgage process, maybe even any projects that you're looking to do. And so with Mortgage CS, they want to make sure that you're making decisions that work for you. As an independent mortgage broker, they're not going to focus on steering you towards options that are best for them. It's not about their bottom dollar. They're working for you, not the banks. And with Ben and Alec, they also make sure to provide you with great customer service. CEO Ben's number right here on the screen for you that you can reach out anytime, any day. You want to talk about the home run derby or get into the All-Star games, you can call or text anytime, 267-391-7425. You can also reach out via email to ben@mortgagecs.com. You want to make sure that you are always having people that have your back. And at Mortgage CS, they do just that. With how competitive the real estate market is, they're going to make sure to find you flexible options and make sure to get you a best option for you without taking unnecessary risks. There's a reason that you can win more with Mortgage CS. Call or text Ben now again, 267-391-7425. See for yourself. You can go to mortgagecs.com/PHLY to check them out and view their 370 plus perfect 5-star reviews by searching Mortgage CS right now. Be sure to tell them that us here at PHLY sent you and know that this advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker, and all loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply, and the company NMLS ID number 1464766. You can visit mortgagecs.com for more information today.
Yeah, you want to talk about a good bet? As you may know, I mean, you personally, Renee, I don't know who knows out there, but you may know as well. I struggle with migraines pretty bad.
You do.
And the thing that causes my migraines more times than not is sunlight. And I don't know if anybody looked outside today. I think we're walking on the surface of the sun. And that's why, as you noticed probably throughout the show, on the top of my head here, are my favorite pair of Shady Rays. I was just in Florida. I'm back here. I feel like I'm still in Florida. And if it weren't for my Shady Rays, I would probably be pretty, I would be struggling to be out and about. If you go outside with me and I don't have sunglasses on, I'm going to probably be outside for about 12 seconds because otherwise I'm going to end up with a migraine and then I'm just debilitated for the rest of the day and I end up in a dark room doing nothing. It's why I always carry my Shady Rays with me. They're on the top of my head here. These are the polarized pair that I got pretty recently, actually. And they've been nothing but a lifesaver. They were a lifesaver being outside all day in Florida. They're a lifesaver now. And of course, you can get ready for the season that we're currently in with quality shades that are built to last. And that's why I trust my friends over at Shady Rays with premium polarized shades that, here's the good bet part, won't break the bank. They're rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They're durable frames. They're crystal clear optics. They make the perfect choice for, here you go, your outdoor activities and adventures. And here's the best part. They have 100 options to choose from, so you're bound to find the pair that matches your style. I like this pair here. I like this kind of single pair frames with the cool polarized looking glasses with the lenses. That is, they'll have your style that'll fit the color scheme you want, the style you want, whether you want aviators, you want more of the sport look, you want this pair here that's sitting on the top of my head. Well, you can't have this pair, but you can get a similar pair at Shady Rays. And if your shades ever go missing or if they take any unexpected damage, don't sweat it because they have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every single pair you buy is backed by a lost or stolen replacement guarantee. And if you don't love the pair that you bought, maybe you think it looks cool online and it just doesn't quite fit you, exchange it for a new pair or return it worry-free within the first 30 days. And now exclusively for you, our PHLY listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head on over to shadyrays.com and use the promo code PHLY for 35% off all polarized sunglasses. Try it for yourself, and you'll realize the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
All right. Yesterday, in addition to the home run derby, the Phillies also got to make their next draft picks as we had day 2. Day 2 was a lot faster than day 1 for the MLB draft selections. I'm just going to give you guys a rundown of who the Phillies picked. These are a variety of high school and college players. We don't know what their futures will hold, but we do know that as of now, it is with the Phillies. So the Phillies had one selection in each of rounds 3 through 10. They also had that pick number 100. I feel like it's like a good luck thing. Pick number 100 to start off the day for the Phillies. So their number 100 pick in the third round was John Spikerman from University of Oklahoma. He's an outfielder, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, a switch hitter, /367, 429, 542 with a .971 OPS, 12 doubles, 4 triples, 3 homers, 32 RBIs, and 42 games in his junior season. He's a Montgomery, Texas native, so down in Texas. He joins the Phillies. And then the next pick, I should say, in round number 4 was the 130th pick. Such a long draft. And there were many picks after this, and they're not done yet. Third baseman Carson DeMartini. Ooh, what's a martini? He is from Virginia Tech, also 6 feet tall. Apparently everybody's 6 feet. 197 pounds, a left-handed hitter. And he slashed .311, 435, 642 with a 1.077 OPS. He had 39 doubles, 10 triples, 46 home runs, 164 RBIs, 124 walks, 174 runs scored in his 3 collegiate seasons. 21 years old, comes in. A Virginia Beach native. I like Virginia Beach. He also has had some accolades of being like D1 Baseball Player of the Week, Slugger of the Week for the Bobby Bragan National Collegiate Slugger of the Week. He was ACC Player of the Week. Some cool honors that he's racked up for DeMartini. In round number 5, the Phillies selected outfielder Carter Matheson from Indiana University. 21-year-old, he batted a .260 with 16 doubles, 13 homers, 44 RBIs, and a .876 OPS in 60 games as a junior. He's a left-handed hitter. He was named to the Big Ten All-Tournament team, where he recorded a 1.00 fielding percentage in 2024, and he is a Fort Wayne, Indiana native that joins the Phillies. And then as we're rolling through, it's been some wide variety of guys, Tyler.
Yeah. So I will say, now, we talked about this yesterday, and we talked about the first 2 rounds being kind of a crapshoot. You get later in the draft, and it's like maybe somebody becomes a major leaguer. So I'm going to put the biggest caveat I can possibly put on what I'm about to say.
Oh.
Of the first 2 round selections, Matheson was my favorite pick of the grouping that they've put together. Now, here's the second caveat that I'm about to say. I can't watch every college baseball game there is. Maybe you can. Maybe you've got superpowers I don't know about. But I do tend to gravitate when I'm not watching the SEC, which is the best baseball collegiate baseball league in America. I tend to watch more than I should Big Ten baseball, primarily because I watch a lot of Penn State baseball.
Yeah.
And by product, I end up seeing some of these other teams. Matheson, to me, is the guy that stands out as maybe the type of guy who could grow into a power hitting outfielder and maybe potentially become a major league power hitting outfielder. And you could use the scouting grades as their tools. That's kind of what they are. They give him a 50 power and a 45 hit tool. I think the power may grow into more than a 50. I think he had 42 home runs across 3 seasons at Indiana. Last year, really, really strong. Broke the school record for freshman home runs as a freshman a couple seasons ago. I think this guy's probably going to be a corner outfielder. They say he's got a 60 run tool, a 55 field tool. So overall, I think he ends up projecting to be a decent defender at a professional level. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything about this kid. I've watched a handful of Indiana games.
That's more than many people.
The weekend that they played Penn State.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I've scouted 400 plate appearances. I probably watched 12. But what I saw from the kid was a decent eye. I think that at least in the small sample size, he swings at strikes. He doesn't swing at balls. I think that this kid, when he matures and grows a little bit further, could potentially be a serviceable power hitting corner outfielder with some advanced defensive tool. I'm not talking Justin Crawford advanced defensive tools. I'm saying better than Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber defensive tools. Maybe a step in like a Brandon Marsh-ish range, a little less. But I of the picks that they've made, this one is the one that I was like, oh, actually, I know this kid, and I kind of like that pick.
That's always a good thing. And as you talk about Kyle Schwarber, well, the 6'2", 215-pound Matheson actually joined some history with Kyle Schwarber. He became the 3rd player in Indiana history to hit 40 or more homers in their first 3 seasons. He joins Alec Dickerson, that's accomplished that, as well as Kyle Schwarber. So, this is the big thing. As I know everybody in chat, we're talking about height. That's like a big thing right now because some of these guys are taller than you guys maybe realize. But their height in terms of their potential and their ceiling in their career is extremely unknown. But it is always intriguing to hear about their collegiate careers or high school careers to see how it translates into the pipeline. And then just to rattle off, I won't give all the stats of everybody. Round 6 was Cody Shojinaga from University of Kansas. He's a Honolulu, Hawaii native. I love that. 5'10", so a little under 6 feet. And he was named some accolades of like Big 12 co-player of the week at times. He was all Big 12 team this past season for preseason. And he was also somebody that was a freshman All-American. And then round 7 was Joel Dragu from Presbyterian College down in South Carolina, a right-handed hitter, an outfielder. Round 8 was Cameron Hill from Georgia Tech, a left-handed pitcher who comes in with a 5.56 ERA, 44 strikeouts, was 3-1. Not the greatest numbers that jump off the charts, but he did have a really good league best of a 1.09 ERA with 45 strikeouts in 11 games in the Cape Cod Baseball League this summer or last summer. And then round 9, as we get into the final picks for the Phillies Monday, Marcus Morgan, Eminem from University of Iowa. No, that's not his nickname, but that's his initials. The right-handed pitcher, 6'3", 210 pounds, comes in with a 5.67 ERA. In 135 innings pitched over his 3 collegiate seasons. And last but not least, the Phillies rounded up the day with Brady Day, the second baseman from Kansas State University, 22 years old, actually one of the older picks of all these guys that they selected, a left-handed hitter that they brought in that also has had an opportunity to be a Cape Cod Baseball League All-Star, and was selected in the 12th round of the 2023 draft by the Braves, but did not sign with them. So that's always interesting. But
I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure he signs with the Phillies either. He was a redshirt sophomore last year. Redshirt junior last year. So maybe he will. As you said, he was taken 369th overall last year. This year he jumped up to
369.
312.
You don't know that song.
So he bumped up 50.
Free knows that song.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you know
I'm
that
not
song.
Jamie.
369. Damn near 5.
Yeah, just because it's not my primary source of music doesn't mean I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not gonna lie. Anytime somebody says anything 369, I always think of that song.
Okay.
Like it instantly triggers.
See, I go right to. Never mind. I was gonna say I go to 3 6 Mafia, but it's not the same at all. It's not
3-6 Mafia.
So not the same at all. Anyway, this kid moved up like 50 spots in the draft this year, so maybe he will sign.
Maybe.
I could see a scenario in which maybe he goes back to K-State for his senior year.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
I don't know. Listen, again, you're talking about the 312th pick of a draft, and I know K-Red was bringing up Mike Piazza. Like, yes, the draft used to be like 712 rounds long.
I know.
They've really cut it down
to
what is it, 20 now, I believe, overall.
Yeah.
Day 3 is today. And like Mike Piazza was a favor for a scout's uncles, nephews, brothers, dog's friend. It turned into maybe one of the greatest catchers of all time.
Yeah.
There's not that many rounds anymore.
No. And they move a lot faster now in general.
Right. I mean, you're taking flyers on guys at this point.
Yeah. So next, the Phillies are going to pick they've got some more picks to round out today. The things will be wrapping up finally. So the MLB draft will be completed, and we'll see what happens with these guys. It's been the draft is always very interesting, without a doubt. And these are guys you never know what's going to happen. But I can tell you this: don't sleep on some of these guys, because some of them will turn out to be very talented. But if you are looking to get a good night's sleep, we've got a place you can do that and get a great night's sleep.
Check you out.
I know.
Great,
you like that?
Great segue.
So if you're looking to get a good night's sleep, you can do that with our friends over at Sleep Healthy PA. They at Sleep Healthy PA are committed to helping Philly residents stop the snore. Snoring apparently causes about 50% of divorces are because of snoring. And I will say, there are some of you guys out here, and I'm looking at you, not you, but you, that are out here snoring, and you are waking up the whole house, the neighborhood, or maybe even the state. So with Sleep Healthy PA, they find solutions for sleep apnea that allow you to rest well and improve your health. Snoring is actually not a good thing. Not only is it bad for our ears, but it's actually bad for your health. And with sleep apnea, you get that choking feeling where you wake up and it's like you're jumped and woken up out of your sleep, jumping, choking, catching your breath. Well, Dr. Andrew Cohen, who is a board-certified in dental sleep medicine, his staff will work one-on-one with you to provide first-class care. They're going to take time to work to meet your needs, do an analysis, provide some solutions for you, and they want to make sure they can help you stop the snore, because with CPAP machines and sleep apnea, it just disrupts everything in your sleep. We want to make sure you don't have to deal with those cumbersome sleep CPAP machines, but instead they have other alternatives for you. And they're based right in Jenkintown, working to help educate and provide dentists across the country on personal approaches to help those with sleep apnea. So Dr. Andrew Cohen and his team are committed to stopping the snore, and you can tell them that we sent you from PHLY and receive 15% off of your initial workup. The process is a 2-hour initial exam. They split that into 2 sessions. So again, it's the information gathering. Then they do some reviewing of the results and share some recommendations to help you cut down on your snoring, but also providing you some options around CPAP machines. So with our friends over at Sleep Healthy PA, take advantage. If you're experiencing any sort of sleep apnea and are looking for a custom solution to stop the snore, reach out to Dr. Andrew Cohen at sleephealthypa.com or give them a call, 215-337-2501. And again, let them know that us at PHLY sent you to get that 15% off.
Yeah, and if you're looking for results, not just in your sleep habits, but in your hiring process as well, you, of course, have to go and use Indeed, because Indeed, you're driven for a search for better. But when it comes to hiring, maybe the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all, but instead it's to match, and to match with Indeed. So if you need to hire, you need Indeed, because they are your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed's data, and a matching engine that will help you find your quality candidate fast. Now, listen, I've never been on the hiring stage of looking for a job, but I have been on the candidate stage of looking for a job. And you know how difficult it is when you need to find a job and you're looking and you're looking and you're looking and you're getting no luck, because you just can't quite find the match that is important and most important to you. So instead, you're going to head to Indeed, and you're going to be able to find all of the listings that you need to find as an employee that match exactly what the job you're looking for. Maybe it's hours, maybe it's flexibility, maybe it's remote work versus being in the office, maybe it's a salary match. You're going to be able to find everything that you need to help you as an employee get the job that you're looking for, and to find it on Indeed. But if you're an employer looking to find the best candidates, you're going to want to ditch the busy work and use Indeed for things like scheduling, training, screening, messaging, and you can connect with your candidates faster, more quickly, more efficiently, and you can find the candidate that is right for you more efficiently than you would just by a certain hiring process. And if Indeed doesn't help you hire faster, 93% of employers agree Indeed at least delivers you the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. So even if maybe your search takes a little bit longer than you were looking for, you're going to end up finding the right candidate. Now, listeners to the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visible at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show, PHLY Phils, by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. So go to Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, you need Indeed.
All right. Well, the 94th All Star Game starts tonight, 8 p.m. It is actually the first time since 1939 and the third time ever that a reigning World Series champ has hosted the event. The last time was 1934 with the 1939 with the Yankees.
Great All-Star game. I remember it
1934 with
fondly.
the Giants. I remember those days like it was yesterday. We do also have a number of Phillies that are involved in the All-Star game, which is extremely exciting to see. Some other storylines outside of just the Phillies having 8 that were invited overall. Of course, they're not all in attendance, and Zach and Ranger did not make the trip. Paul Skeens does get to start making some history there because Paul Skeens just only had 11 starts this season before he got a chance to get called into the All-Star, and becoming the first rookie to start this game since 1962, Dave Stenhouse, 1976, Mark Fidrick, Fernando Valenzuela did it in 1981, and most recently in 1995, it was Hideo Nomo. And so Paul Skeens with that 1.90 ERA and a .92 WHIP in his 66 and a third innings gets the start for today. The AL is going to be Corbin Burns. His wife actually just had twins.
Oh, congratulations.
So he missed the press conference announcing it, but with a 2.43 ERA, he gets to start for the AL. With his ERA over 19 starts, he has won a Cy Young in the past and is now in the AL Cy Young as a front runner to possibly win it again this season. The starters are already listed. It's going to be exciting for the guys, and it's also another exciting opportunity for me to see my guys because my fantasy team is well represented today. This is my last attempt at trying to convince moving forward for myself to get points because there should be bonus points. There should be bonus points for
You've just been on the pulpit about like, hey, can I get points for my guys making the All-Star team? The answer to that question will continue to be no.
The Phillies sent 8 guys to the All-Star games. I have like 7 from my team that are there. How many people can say their fantasy team has 6 or more guys that are between the home run derby and the All-Star game?
That's probably a byproduct of your team being pretty good. I'm not giving you points because you had an All-Star. Like, there are good players across baseball that didn't make the All-Star team.
So disappointing. Whatever. All right, so that being said,
I think you're just vouching for more points because your team's been struggling.
No, we've won 2 weeks in a row. We're good. We're back. We're off the skid. We're back. We're back and better, baby. So yeah, going to be excited as we do see, of course, Bryce getting to start at first base. Trey gets to start at shortstop. Alec gets to start at third base. And we have other guys sprinkled in throughout. So should be fun to watch that go down. The NL has won, did win last season. In that 3-2 nail biter, we can call it, that happened last season. This actually be the first time since 2012 that the NL would win back-to-back times. They can win tonight. So looking to make some history. And who knows, the Phillies have been making history left and right. Maybe they can do that in the All-Star game as well.
Yeah, it's been pretty heavy American League across our lifetime, Renee. I mean, so if you go back to 1997.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The National League at one point was 40-27-1 against the or 40-26-1 against the American League since 1997. They are now 47-44-2. So, and last year it was 47. 47-44-2. So like that number has shrunk significantly over the last 2 decades. It has.
And I expect today is going to be an exciting game. It is weird because of injuries. There's still some guys that you would expect, like a Mookie Betts, to normally be in the All-Star game, but should be a good one as we do get to see.
Oh, excuse me. The American League is 47-44-2. So the American League actually has jumped the National League. So the American League's record has officially been better since 2018.
Okay. Well, we'll see who wins tonight. All that gets started at 8 p.m. tonight for the All-Star game, number 94. Now, as we get ready to wrap up, one final thing we have to do since we are at the All-Star break is start to grade the first half of the season for the Phillies because we did it in the offseason as a look back on 2023. Now it's a great chance to look back on the start of 2024. Today, we're going to start off with the bullpen. We'll get into starting pitching, infield, and outfield as the week progresses. There are some guys that are or were with the team. They're not with the team now. We're not going to grade every single player that's been in the bullpen. We're just going to talk.
You don't want to give Connor Brogdon an F grade for his 2 innings pitched?
If you're not on the roster as of today, July 16th, you're not getting graded. So that being said, let's start with just some names that have been sprinkled in as some additions, especially late, starting with Michael Mercado. We're going to grade him as a bullpen arm. I don't know how much longer Michael Mercado is going to be with the Phillies at all. But so far this season, he's got a 9.26 ERA overall between all of his play, a 1-2 record. He has pitched for 11 2/3 innings, 1.71 WHIP, 8 strikeouts. Michael Mercado, I think your days are numbered. I think it's just contingent on whether they want to bring in somebody else, like a Colby Allard or someone else. Because we don't know the timeline of when Taiwan and Spencer are going to be back. It seems like it's going to take some time for their rehab assignments and things that we might not see them until early August. But I think that Michael Mercado, with his recent struggles, especially against the A's, his days are numbered. I would give him like a D.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been obvious based on who started the last time through, and Tyler Phillips, who's probably going to make the next start. It's going to be Tyler Phillips. I think that, listen, it's a small sample size for a still relative prospect. Thought he was really good against Chicago. Thought he was really bad against both Oakland and Atlanta. I think Atlanta. So here's the thing. It's funny. I think he ended up giving up more runs, I believe, against Oakland,
right,
than he did against the Braves. I thought he was worse against the Braves than he was against Oakland, just because he had no command against Atlanta whatsoever. I thought nothing he threw, it was BP basically. It's hard to give a guy a grade who's thrown 11 major league innings over the course of the season. I think you're right. He's probably the one that gets sent back down relatively soon. I'd go D, but I think incomplete is probably the grade to give.
Wow, you're a really thorough teacher. I will say.
By the way, I do want to say this. My grading scale, I don't know how your grading scale is going to look. My grading scale is going to be a weighted scale of expectations versus reality.
Yes.
So, when we get into starting pitching, for example, Zach Wheeler may end up with.
Don't jump ahead.
A lower grade. Just giving you an example. Zach Wheeler may end up with a lower grade than somebody else. That's my preview. Yeah. Because of weighted expectations. We expect Zach Wheeler to be an ace.
Yes.
He's basically been an ace.
We're not grading as if this was a test and everybody had to answer questions and they got a certain amount of questions wrong. The reason I gave for Michael Mercado a D is because versus a D- or an F is he is what you expected.
Yeah.
Nobody expected him to come in and be lights out, especially going up. Even the Braves game, I kind of was like, well, he was going to get rocked. So he's a D. He's just D for done. D for go back down. So Jose Ruiz, another one that actually we do not talk a lot about, but has maybe been brought in with low expectations. At 29 years old, Jose Ruiz comes in. He has actually pitched a total of 28, not 200, wrong number. 28 and a third inning so far this season. He's got a 1.45 WHIP, 25 strikeouts, a 5.08 ERA on the season so far with a 2-1 record. Jose Ruiz has been, I think, kind of steady for what you expect from him. He's not one of the stronger bullpen arms. I can admit that. I think he's just an innings eater. You can put him out there in a low leverage situation, not a high leverage situation, and you don't have to be too nervous. I think as of late, he's struggled a bit more, which has been very eye opening. Of okay, maybe he's the command's not there, and he's needs either to be scaled back, or I don't know what needs to be changed. But I think for Jose Ruiz overall, I would give him, I think I'd also give him I give him a D+.
So
or a C-. I don't know.
He's given up 16 earned runs this year, and 8 of them have come since the calendar flipped to July.
Yeah,
he was terrible in what was probably the lowest of leverage situations against the Chicago Cubs, where they're up 6-1. They end up remember that they had to bring in Hoffman to get the save to win that game 6-4. He gave up 2 against Oakland on Friday. He gave up 3 against Oakland on Sunday. And I think you can almost take Sunday's game out of the equation for a lot of guys, because it really felt like a whatever game for this team. You start with a bullpen game. Mercado gets a bulk of the innings. He wasn't particularly strong. Ruiz wasn't strong. Dominguez wasn't strong. It almost, to me, felt like they just kind of put this one in their back pocket and said, let's get to the All-Star break. So I would say he's missing less bats than he was in the beginning of the season. Like, for example, since the calendar turned to July, over the course of what is now 6 appearances, he has 2 strikeouts. And he's thrown 1, 2 and 2 1/3, 3 1/3, 4 1/3, 5 1/3, 5 1/3 innings over 6 appearances, and he has 2 strikeouts. He's also over that time given up 10 hits.
Yeah.
At this point, I think he's just not missing bats anymore. He's probably not going to be on this roster come playoff time anyway,
right.
Especially if they do, even if they're remotely aggressive at the trade deadline about acquiring a reliever at the trade deadline. I would say for May and June, Ruiz probably gets like a C+. For July, he gets an F. So I don't know what that averages to. But it probably comes out to be like a D+.
Yeah, I think that is the hard part. I mean, the last 7 games, he's got a 10.8 ERA.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been abysmal, and it's been really bad.
If you look at May 4th to June 13th, he had a 2.7 ERA. He was pitching well.
He was.
And I almost feel like, Renee, I don't know if you've noticed with him, his velocity's down.
Yeah.
He was throwing 97, 98. So now he's down to 94, 95 at times.
The thing about Jose, and I don't want to spend too much time on him, is I do feel like when you look at his career as a whole, he's pitched in 2021, 2022. He was around 60 to 65 innings with the White Sox. He hasn't pitched a lot of innings in general.
Sure.
And he's already at a third of that now as we're halfway through the season. He's about halfway. He's right on track for what's been the highest of his career. Traditionally, though, he's actually been lower, around 40 innings pitched. Like last season, it was 40 innings with Arizona, 3 innings with the White Sox. He had 40 innings pitched with back in 2019. Like he hasn't pitched a lot.
Right.
And I do wonder, as we talked about, even similarly with like someone like Ranger, if he now might be dealing with, you know, a little bit of dead arm, a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of just being stretched too much. And this is his ceiling. That what we saw in the beginning of the season was solid, but I think now he has hit that wall. And for Jose Ruiz, hopefully this break will help. Hopefully maybe, that's why I say scaling back, that he's not getting as many innings coming out of the break, because right now you look at that last 7 games, not good at all. But you know who's been great in the last 7 games? Gregory Soto. Let's move along. Gregory Soto has had 38 appearances total. He's pitched 31 and 2/3 innings. He's 1-2 on the season with a 3.41 ERA. He's got a 1.516 whip, 41 Ks, 2.3 Ks per walk. He's allowed just 3 earned runs since May 12th, and his slashing number for opponents, a 250, 366, 342. And we look at that success since May 12th. Well, overall, the last 15 games, I should say, for Gregory Soto, a 1.35 ERA in the last 15 games. He also has had 13 1/3 innings pitched in that stretch and given up just 2 runs, 6 walks, 22 strikeouts with a 1.05 whip. He has had a stretch around that May 12th game of scoreless shutout innings. He has been much better. It feels like he's settled in. I would give Gregory Soto, I still think I would love at least to see more consistency from him, because we've seen him do well at times and we've seen him kind of struggle, especially in the beginning of the season. So if this is the Gregory Soto we're going to get, I'm going to give him a C.
So I'm going to give him a little bit of a higher grade because of that scale that I gave you earlier, because my expectations for Gregory Soto are low leverage innings with the potential to give you some medium leverage innings. And the unfortunate part with Gregory Soto is his stuff plays. His stuff is legit. And when he's on, he almost becomes unhittable. And over the course of, what'd you say? It was the last 10 games. It's a 1.15.
Yeah.
Last 15 games, it's a 1.3 ERA. The thing that kills Soto is command, right? I mean, 18 walks over the course of the 30 some odd innings he's pitched this year. To pair that with 30 hits, that's why his whip is so high at a 1.5. If he brings the walk, if he can harness the command and bring the walk rate down, like he has pretty decently over the last couple of outings. Like he walked 2 against the Dodgers, but it was a really super low leverage situation. I don't even really feel like it counts. The game against the Braves, he walked 1, but prior to that, he had 5 straight appearances without a walk. To me, Soto has outperformed expectations as of late, and it's why we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Like, he deserves his credit. We gave him the crap when he deserved it because he wasn't pitching well at the beginning of the year. I think he deserves his credit for the bulk of June and July, where he really kind of settled into a really nice role and dropped his ERA from what was at one point a 6 flat down to a 3.4 from the beginning of June down to July 13th. He's now down to a 3.4 ERA. If you can take that sample size, which I think is probably a B+, and take the first start of it, which is probably a C-, I'm going to give Gregory Soto for the course of the season, I give him a B-.
Okay. I know in the chat, there's some great things. Make sure you guys are grading along with us. It's not easy to give grades out. I don't know how teachers do it. But I know in the chat, Philly007 saying a B, Ray saying a B- as well, because I do agree, Ray, like we no longer have the same nerves when Soto's coming into the game. That I give him a C just for I need more consistency, of course. And if he can continue what he's shown in the last couple months, I think that he absolutely, for what you expect from him, is right on par.
So here's the thing, like even when he's not pitching particularly well, like let's take, for example, the last time he gave up an earned run was in that 10-2 loss on 4th of July to the Cubs. He threw 24 pitches in an inning. That's a high pitch count for one inning of relief, but he threw 18 strikes. I mean, that's I'm trying to do this quick math. It's 6 out of 8, 3 out of 4. It's 75% strike percentage for a guy that we had worries about his command earlier. He's starting to climb up the ranks in terms of leverage. I know definitively he's jumped at least one guy.
Oh yeah,
that
definitely.
I trust him more than I trust this other guy.
Well, let's move along then, because we've got a few minutes left and we got 5 guys left to get to. Sir Anthony Dominguez is next up on the list. Excuse me. So for Sir Anthony, in his 36 appearances, he's pitched 34 innings. He's 3-2 with a 4.76 ERA. He's got a 1.235 WHIP. 39 Ks, 3.2 Ks per walk. And since June, his ERA has actually dropped almost a full point. His slashing for his opponents, a 222, 295, 400 for their slash. And for him, as you talk about, the numbers have dropped. The last 7 games, Sir Anthony Dominguez has pitched at a 5.4 flat ERA and his 8 1/3 innings pitched. He's given up 5 runs. He's had 13 strikeouts, 4 walks. He's given up 5 runs on 6 hits in his last 7 games. Sir Anthony, much like Gregory Soto, is someone that we've talked a lot about, the consistency, the command not always being there, the velocity not always being there. As Gregory Soto is trending upward, I do feel like Sir Anthony, unfortunately, is trending downward. I'm going to give him since I gave Soto a C for the opposite reason, I'm going to give Sir Anthony a D+.
Okay.
I do think that he's someone that you need a little bit more out of. He has struggled a lot at times with the Phillies. You have the nerves when he takes the mound still because you just don't know what you're going to get from Sir Anthony.
Yeah, I don't particularly trust him, which is unfortunate, and it's almost not fair because if you look back over the course of his May and June, he was quite good. He gave up 1 earned run in May. He gave up 1 earned run in June. So over the course of what was May 13th to June 31st, he gave up 2 earned runs. He pitched really, really well. He dropped his ERA over that course from 8.7 to 4.2. I mean, that's literally more than cutting things in half for your ERA. And Jamie was talking about, is he back? And I kind of held a little bit of reservation just because I feel like he's the guy. I know a lot of people feel this way about Soto. I feel this way about Dominguez, that I don't particularly trust in high leverage situations. The reason that Soto's grade is lower to me than the grade that I gave the reason that Dominguez's grade is lower than the grade that I gave Soto is because regardless of maybe Dominguez, it will never once again be that guy that he was in 22, where he was a cog in that World Series appearance bullpen. I still feel like they want him to be a higher leverage guy, and I'm not sure he ever will be again. I give Dominguez a C because I think that his May and June were like B+ worthy. I think his April was like almost F worthy. So if it balances out, I'll give him a C.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the truth is, I know Lisa's saying it's a what have you done for me lately kind of a world. I know you guys in the chat are saying I see C's and D+. I
would go with C-.
I do think the expectation just been a little bit higher for Sir Anthony, and he hasn't hit that consistently this season. So he's definitely, in my opinion, at least a C. I wouldn't go C+ or higher. I'm going to stick with the D+ though. All right, let's roll through these last few. Now, these are the ones that are have high expectations, starting with Jose Alvarado, who comes in with 41 appearances, 39 innings pitched this season. He's 1-3 on the year with a 3.92 ERA. He's got a 1.179 WHIP, 40 Ks, 2.5 Ks per walk. He's got 13 out of 15 for his save opportunities, and his opponents are slashing a 211, 294, 310. I'm going to let you actually grade this first because I've gave it the first grade for every guy, and it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, so I know that...
and I don't know yet, to be honest.
Jose Alvarado is a guy that needed the All-Star break. And I think in kind of a bad way. He gave up 3 against the Braves a week and a half ago, and he's given up runs in 3 of his last 4 outings. I think he's a guy that needed the All-Star break because I think he's maybe a little bit gassed to a point where, you know, his ERA back in mid-June had dipped under 3, and it had stayed consistently in the low 3s for a bulk of June. It's now up to 3.82 just because, again, he's given up 5 earned runs in the course of his last 4 innings pitched. I know you and Jamie were talking about, maybe a little bit of wavering confidence with Jose Alvarado, and the fact remains is maybe it's unfounded. Maybe it's just because I think he is somebody that I will continue to trust in high leverage situations. To me, those 3 outings are not going to dictate the fact that I still believe that this guy is one of the premier left-handed relievers in the game when he's on. And when he's on, I think that back foot cutter to righties that he throws down and in is one of the best pitches in baseball. I will give Jose Alvarado a B-. And I believe that it is hampered by the fact that he has given up 5 runs in his last 4 innings pitched, because otherwise it probably would be closer to a B or a B+.
Yeah, I mean, for the month of July, Jose's sitting at a 9 ERA. But you look at the early months of the season, I'm not going to exclude March. There was only a couple games in general, but under 1 for his ERA in April, a 2.13 ERA in May, a 2.79 ERA in June. Jose definitely has dipped a little bit in July, and we could all see it and feel it. And I know it's led people to be nervous about Jose because as you look at his last 7 games, for example, that 7.71 ERA, where you gave up 9 hits, 6 of those were earned runs, 4 were walks, and 7 innings pitched. It has been a dip down, but I think he is someone that also needs a break. And I think for Jose, for what we expect from him, I think Alvy's sitting at 8. I would give him a B. I think I'm a little less harsh on Jose Alvarado. I would give him a B, to be honest.
Okay.
But I think a B- makes sense also because the expectation is high for him. We've talked about him in a role as a closer, as a high leverage guy. I think July, and it's only July 16th, has been a dip for him. But I think bigger picture looking at the season, there are some major moments that I remember of Jose Alvarado with not only his arm, but with his legs as well, making big plays. So I'm going to try not to look too much at recency bias and look at the whole season and give him a solid B before we move.
I don't know if it's unfounded because, I don't know what the second half brings, but I still just have utmost confidence.
Yeah, I
Jose
still have confidence
Alvarado.
with him, and I think he's going to be fine. I think him and the last 2 guys we get into are going to be fine. Let's move along as we get into the final 2. Orion Kerkering, next on the list. Orion Kerkering. 35 appearances, 35 2/3 innings pitched. He's 2-1 on the season with a 1.26 ERA, 0.925 whip, 40 Ks, 6.6 Ks per walk. His walk rate is a 4.3%, which is top 6% in the league. And his opponents are slashing at a 211, 268, 250. Orion Kerkering, the velocity is there, the command is there. He's young, he's talented, he's someone that we wanted to see what would a full season at the majors look like for a 23-year-old Orion. Honestly, I'm going to go straight up and say I'm giving him an A.
Okay.
I think he's not an A+. There's still room for improvement. He's not perfect, but I think Orion is everything you expected him to be and a little bit more. He is a little bit ahead of his timeline. I know even Brian Barber was saying it in a press conference that we had with him recently, like nobody expected Orion to progress this fast.
Sure.
We knew the stuff was there. He is definitely evolving into being that high leverage closer personality for the Phillies. And you look at the numbers as he's progressed, a 2.13 ERA in May, a 1.59 ERA in June. He's actually getting better as the season is going on, and he just looks more composed, locked in. An A. It's an A for me.
He's an easy A.
Yeah.
Especially
sure.
because when you balance expectations versus reality, the expectation for me coming into the season was that he would probably be their 4th best reliever.
Yes.
And so far he maybe is their 2nd or 3rd best reliever. So he's already exceeded expectations. The one thing we've talked about a lot is his trust in his fastball that he truly has now. The 1.2 ERA has been significant. He's posted a sub-1 whip. And the funny thing is, he's not getting a ton of chase, and he's not getting a ton of... Now, he's in the 60th percentile in whip, so he's above average. But the thing that he does so well is he attacks the zone, He doesn't walk guys, and he's missing barrels of bats. He's in the 94th percentile in walk rate. He's in the 82nd percentile in barrels. He's in the 90th percentile in hard hit rate. He's keeping the ball in the yard. And what he's done so far with trusting his fastball and offsetting that sweeper with another really good pitch, he's an easy A for me.
Easy A. Last two are probably A's, but we'll see where they officially land. My fantasy baseball guy, Matt Strom, because I already am at 0 days, so why not keep it going?
Just keep going.
39 appearances for Stromboli, 36 and a third innings pitched. He's 4-11 with a point. He's 4-1 with a 1.49 ERA. 4-11 would be cool too. He's got a .798 WHIP, 47 Ks, 9.4 Ks per walk. He had that stretch of going scoreless. It's been now 35 scoreless appearances out of 39. His opponents are slashing at a 188, 226, 289. For Matt Strom, we've definitely seen him, quote unquote, dip because he's giving up runs, which we haven't seen from Matt Strom. You look at the last 7 games, he's given up 3 runs on 5 hits. He's gotten 1 walk and has a 5.4 ERA in his last 7 games. Some may look at that as concern. I look at him coming back to earth because to start off the season so unhittable, and the composure and the confidence, and he was cooking. He was Stromboli. I do feel like for Matt Strom, I'm going to also give him an A as well. I could also lean towards an A-, but it's just been the last couple of games. It's not a big enough sample size to fully knock off how strong of a start he's had, especially when you start off the season with a scoreless streak of it broke at 27 games that you didn't give up a run. You had a perfect ERA in April and May. Perfect. Zeros. That's A, borderline A+. Like, it's like a 95.
Another guy I'm agreeing with you on, he gets an A. He's an all-star for a reason. And he's the one, to me, that I was the most pleasantly surprised that was selected as an all-star. Because, again, it's hard when you're not a back end of the bullpen type of guy, when you're getting consistent closer reps. Like me, and I know it's split, Alvarado and Hoffman split closer reps, but the two have sample sizes now. I was so happy to see that Matt Strom was an all-star because this is a guy that doesn't throw all that hard. He pounds the zone at like 94, but he is just fearless. He attacks you. He goes at you. He throws at your hands. He doesn't worry about the fact that he doesn't throw 97, 98, 99. He's got a really good hard slider that dips down at the very end. He's throwing a ton of strikes. He's another guy who doesn't walk guys. He's in the 97th percentile of walk rate throughout the league. And for him, we were talking about a lower chase rate with Orion Kerkering. This guy, when he's throwing out of the zone, he's throwing it where he wants it, and he's getting you to fish over top of it. He has been sensational this year. If it weren't for the last guy that we're going to talk about, because I think I can only give out 1 A+, spoiler alert, Matt Strom might get it. Matt Strom's one of my favorite players on this team. He gets an A for me as well.
Yeah. And the biggest difference between Matt Strom and Jeff Hoffman came in these last outings, but he's absolutely deserving of being an all-star, and so is Jeff Hoffman. Both guys really came into this season and embodied a lot of what the Phillies are all about, took on the role of being the high-leverage arm, closer personality by committee. And Jeff Hoffman, definitely an A+, and here is why. So Jeff Hoffman's numbers on the season: in 41 appearances, he's pitched 40 and a third innings. He's 3-1 with a 1.12 ERA, a .893 WHIP, 59 Ks, which is 5.2 Ks per walk. He's had 9 out of 12 save opportunities, and his opponents are slashing a 176, 231, 277. And when you look at Jeff Hoffman, unlike Matt Strom, who did have that dip in July, month by month, Jeff Hoffman, he was perfect in March, a 1.46 ERA in April, a .84 in May, a 1.69 in June, and so far is perfect in the month of July. Jeff Hoffman talked about how he worked so much to be in the moment and be present in the offseason, and did a lot on the mental side to be able to embrace this role that the Phillies want for him. This is the guy that came in as the pitcher to Bryce Harper while Bryce was injured, and literally got an opportunity and has just blown it through the roof. Jeff Hoffman's phenomenal. His numbers match, and I think he is everything that you want in a bullpen arm that you can count on in big moments, and is going to be a reason why this team is top of the league.
So I never ever do this when I'm sitting here. Brie, can you do me a favor? Can I?
Oh, no. What are you about to do?
Can I talk to my family for a little bit?
Not my family.
Listen, Phillies, Dave Dombrowski, Montgomery, open up the checkbook. This man better not hit free agency. I know you're going to have to pay him like an elite closer because he's been that good, and I know you don't want him to be closer because you've done closer by committee, which has worked for you, and I agree with it, and it's a really good strategy to employ when you have guys that you trust in any particular matchup. I'm not fighting you on that one. What I am asking you to do, open up the checkbook and sign this man to an extension before the season ends and he becomes an unrestricted free agent, because some team somewhere is going to throw the Brinks truck at him. And if I were him, I don't blame him, I would also take it. So please do me a favor, Montgomery, Dombrowski, the rest of the crew behind the scenes, get this man a contract before the season is over. A+, Renee. This guy's the best pitcher in the bullpen right now. Has been all season long. A 1.12 ERA like you brought up. Every metric has just been off the charts. He attacks you the way that he needs to attack you. The fastball velocity has gone up. He's almost kind of shied away from the splitter a little bit, which is kind of surprising to me because he's been so good with the splitter early in the year. It's been mostly fastball slider as of late, but he's got a 3-pitch arsenal that he can trust all 3 pitches. He's in the top 10 percentile in every expected number. Now, I will say this. There's been a couple of outings where he has gotten away with getting hit hard and it's just right at somebody. I assume his BABIP, without looking it up, is probably pretty favorable to him. But everything that Jeff Hoffman has been asked to do, he has done in droves. Jeff Hoffman needs to be on a short list of extensions immediately, because this guy has been nothing short of sensational for you. There's a reason he's an all-star. And if I would have had to pick between him and Strahm, if they were saying pick one, it can only be one, it would have been Hoffman. This guy's your best reliever. He gets an A+.
Your argument was so convincing until you almost said farting. I heard that. I picked up on it.
What? Can I? You got to blow my spot up like that?
I heard it. I don't know if anybody else picked up on it. You were like farting, fighting.
I was so close.
That was great. I love that because you're absolutely right. Jeff Hoffman, top in baseball.
Now I'm getting down off my soapbox. Thanks for everybody for listening.
I need to, when you look across all teams in terms of bullpen arms, Jeff Hoffman and Matt Strahm are elite. They're the top of the top. And Jeff Hoffman has shown us the consistency. He's been all reliable for the Phillies and absolutely is deserving of that. I know Philly 007 in the chat is saying the same thing as you. Give him the same deal you gave the Matt Strahm. Get this man paid, lock him in, because this is the future for the Phillies to have bullpen arms in Orion, Matt, Jose, and Jeff, that you can be closer by committee if needed, or you can lock in to Jeff Hoffman. So thank you guys for being locked in with us today, because we had a lot to get through around the home run derby, the draft, previewing the game tonight, and of course, taking our time to grade through the bullpen. Tomorrow we'll grade the starting pitching. We'll also be able to recap all the excitement of tonight's 8 p.m. start for the All Star Game with our guys repping the Phillies, and we'll see what happens. So tomorrow we're back at 11 a.m. We've also got some special guests joining us in studio. Should be a lot of fun as Kyle Bennett and OJ Spivey join us here on the show. Thanks to Bree, Tyler, myself, Renee, and you guys for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow, 11 a.m., nice and early for some more here on PHLY Phillies Podcast. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.